Adi Shankara is believed to have lived a very short life, around 32 years, from 788 to 820 CE. Born in Kaladi, Kerala, Shankara displayed extraordinary intellectual and spiritual prowess from a young age.
So, argument started with the woman. Then she saw she's losing. Then she started asking him questions about human sexuality. Shankara said whatever he said. Then she went into more details and then she asked, what do you know by experience? Well, Shankara is a brahmachari. Then he knew that this is a trick to defeat him. Namaskaram to everyone. Shankara, an intellectual giant, a genius of linguistics, above all, a spiritual light, pride of India. But we have special pride that he is from the south. A seamless sense of wisdom, knowledge, and a shining light for humanity. How do you produce such a man? Obviously, if someone has to show that level of wisdom at a very early age, in that brief span of life, he walked the length and breadth of this nation. We all came flying today, but he walked from the southern tip of India to here and further up and east and west. Where does this energy, where does this zest and where does this wisdom come from? Just to take one aspect, he comes from a village, today a small town called Kaladi. Kaladi literally means beneath the feet. This is the fundamental nature of this culture. Bharat means we always learnt how to be at the feet of the divine, to be Kaladi always. Not a culture of pumped up pomp, but a culture of natural piety. With this, just with this one aspect, we could produce great beings. This has been the tradition, this has been the culture of this nation, that not by being at the head, but being at the feet, we learned. By being at the feet, we evolved. By being at the feet, we blossomed. By being at the feet, we became shining lights to the rest of the world for a long time. It's once again time that we bring back this culture, we bring back this piety, we bring back this sense of humility, which has paid enormous dividend for this culture, that we learned how to bow down. Doesn't matter, it is a god or a man or a woman or a child or an animal or a tree or a rock, we learn to bow down to everything. This has been our strength, this has been our way, this has been the process and the method of our evolution and realization. This is very important today in the world, that all this knowledge, all this wisdom came not by faith, not by belief, but by realization. Well, 1,000 years ago, or well before Shankara, many have spoken, but the beauty of Shankara is the clarity, the intellectual clarity with which he expressed and the zest with which he spread it across the country. Many have said this before, right from the time of Adiyogi, Many yogis, many mystics, many sages, many saints have said this, but it is the absolute clarity of intellect and the zest and the energy to be able to bring it to a whole nation, which makes Shankara stand out. Well, there are many aspects to this, but today, one thing that is important in this world is, unless the spiritual process in some way, if it does not run parallel to the scientific realizations that have happened, and if spiritual process in some way does not sync with the fundamental human logic, the future will not take it. In this sense, Shankara's message is significant. This is the future. The future generations of this world will reject everything that will not make logical sense to them. The future generations of the world will reject everything that is not scientifically correct. So in this sense, Shankara becomes very significant. There's a lot of misunderstanding, let me clear at least one for him, I think we owe it to him. A lot of people go about saying, what is the nonsense he's talking? Because he said everything is Maya. So the way it is being interpreted is, Maya means it doesn't exist. Maya does not mean it does not exist. Maya means an illusion. Maya means you are not seeing it the way it is. You are seeing it in a way that is good for your survival, but you are not seeing it the way it is. Today modern physics is telling you the entire universe is just a network of the one same energy. When we say Maya, here we are with this body which seems to be solid, but every day, because of the food that you eat, the water that you drink, and the air that you breathe, 7% of this body is being exchanged on a daily basis. That means in 2 weeks, your entire body is gone and you have something new in the system. The atomic substance in this body, nearly 100% of it is gone in 1 year's time. This means every year you have a completely new body in a very fundamental sense. But in your experience, it looks like it's the same thing. This is the Maya. Similarly with the rest of the existence, the way you're seeing it, the way you're perceiving it, the way you're knowing the world through 5 senses is completely off the mark. This is the illusion. When we say a mirage, if you're driving on the road in the highway, you will see far away there seems to be water. Well, when you go there, definitely there is no water. This does not mean there was nothing there. There was some radiation which created this illusion. So this is Maya. What is one thing seems to be another thing. This is the Maya he was talking about. What you think is me is actually everything. This is the Maya. What you think is the other is actually you. What you think is everything is nothing too. That is the Maya he's talking about. Today modern science, after a long haul, has come parallel to what Shankara was talking and many sages of the past were talking. So this will be the future of this world. There's a very beautiful story in Mahabharata that all of you will know. I'm going back to Kaladi because we come from the south, we are at the feet of Bharat Mata, and it has paid off very beautifully for us in so many ways. You remember the story that every grandmother must have told you, that when Arjuna and Duryodhana went to seek support from Krishna for the Kurukshetra war, one stood at the head, the other chose to stand at the feet. That made everything. That decided. That afternoon, when Arjuna stood at the feet, he won the war. This is the significance of this nation, that by bowing down, we rise. We don't rise by elbowing our way. We rise because we bow down to everything, because our essential nature is this, we are Kaladi. Shankara comes from the village called Kaladi. It is very, very symbolic and important. And now being in Madhya Pradesh, the heartland of India, well, Shivraj ji is trying to turn this into the spiritual heartland because it's time. It is time the spiritual wisdom comes down from the mountains into the cities, into the towns, into the villages, above all, into the hearts and minds of people. Because this is going to be the greatest treasure, this is going to be the future of this nation, and because of… if we do this one thing, the entire world will seek guidance from this nation. It's very wonderful today that once again they have reignited the spirit of Shankara in this part of the country. I'm sure it'll spread to the rest of the world. Thank you very much.
Sadhguru, it is said that Adi Shankara entered the body of a king and inhabited it for a length of time. Is this actually possible? If so, how? What kind of yogic mastery makes such a feat possible?
It is not really such a feat. Adi Shankara got into an argument with a man. He won the argument. Then that man's wife maneuvered herself into the argument. You know women. And Adi Shankara is a certain level of logic. You shouldn't argue with a man like that. But she negotiated herself into the argument saying, "You defeated my husband, but he's not whole. We are two halves of the same thing, so you must also argue with me." How can you beat this logic? So, argument started with the woman. Then she saw she's losing. Then she started asking him questions about human sexuality. Shankara said whatever he said. Then she went into more details and then she asked, "What do you know by experience?" Well, Shankara is a brahmachari. Then he knew that this is a trick to defeat him. So he said, "I need a month's break. We will hold the argument at this level. We'll start from here after a month. Just give me a month." So, he went to a place where there was a cave. He went inside the cave and told his disciples, "No matter what happens, do not allow anybody into this cave because I'm going to leave my body and look for another possibility for some time. Whatever happens, don't let anybody enter this cave." Then it so happened, a king was bitten by a cobra and he died. When a man dies, or even a woman when she dies, we have told you about the pancha pranas. If I go into this detail, it's a very technical question. Are you interested in all this?
Yes.
Oh. Then we have told you about how the life energies manifest in 5 qualities. The prana is happening in 5 different dimensions. It is called pranavayu, samanavayu, apanavayu, udhana and vyana. These 5 manifestations of prana have distinct
distinct functions to it. Pranavayu is in charge of respiratory action and thought process and the sensation of touch. When someone dies, how do you check whether someone is alive or dead? You check his breath has stopped. When one's breath has stopped, you say he is dead. The breath has stopped because the pranavayu has begun to exit. After the breath has stopped, it will take up to 1.5 hours for the pranavayu to leave completely. But still the other 4 dimensions will be there. This is why it was set up after the breath stops, you must wait for 1.5 hours minimum before you cremate someone, because he is still alive in many other ways. Only thing is, we want to wait till his sensation is gone so that he doesn't feel the burn. So we are very compassionate. We wait for 1.5 hours so that his thought process, his respiratory action and his sensations are gone. That's not the guy we're talking about. Now, the remaining part of the prana will still be there and the vyana, the last dimension of the prana, could last up to 12 to 14 days. Wherever there is no sensation, whichever part of your body where there is no sensation, you must understand that part of the body has no pranavayu in it. Right now, if you take your hair, if you do this, there's no sensation. Only if you pull it this way, there is sensation. Because here there is no pranavayu, but still it grows. This is the reason why even after somebody is dead, even for a corpse, after few days, still the hair growth happens, nail growth happens. Do you know? Are there any undertakers? No, I'm just asking if it's your profession. After one is dead, up to 12 to 14 days, hair growth will happen simply because this can grow just with vyana, with simple maintenance of the system it'll happen. Though other parts of the body may begin to rot, still vyana functions. So when Shankara left his body, he left his vyana in the system because his body should be maintained. And the king who died of a cobra venom. When cobra venom enters your system, what is happening to the system is your blood begins to coagulate. When blood becomes thicker than what it is, when blood begins to coagulate, breath becomes hard because hello? Breathing and circulation are very directly connected. When circulation becomes difficult, it becomes hard to breathe, so you… Oh, please give me a gooseneck microphone. Your breath will stop well before your pranavayu has exited. In many ways, this is an ideal condition for one who wants to… When somebody wants to enter that body, it's ideal. Normally it would give you only 1.5 hours time, but when a person has got cobra's venom in the system, it will give up to 4.5 hours time. So Shankara got this opportunity that there was 4.5 hours time, so he very easily entered that body and he was there to answer these questions experientially, so he went through that process. But the king's people, there were some wise people there. When they saw a man who they had declared dead suddenly sits up and full of energy, and they could recognize by his behavior, it is not the same person, this is someone else in the same body. So what they did, they sent soldiers all over the city saying, whoever is dead, wherever you see a body, burn it immediately. Because now the king has come alive, he should not leave and go back. So soldiers went looking everywhere, any body, anywhere, just burn it quickly, so that if that is the person who has come here, cannot go back, so we still have our king. A different guy, but he looks the same, so what? So is such a thing possible? Yes, very much possible. Is it a feat? It is not really such a feat. A little bit of understanding of the mechanics of how life happens within you. Now, if one wants to enter a living body, someone who is alive, to enter that would take a lot more. To enter one who has just exited, that's much simpler. Within first 1.5 hours, it's ideal because the necessary vacuum has happened, at the same time everything else is on. This was… this used to be a common, not very common, but almost everybody would have heard that something like this happened somewhere. So this is the reason why when somebody's breath begins to recede, in India, they always keep them just outside the house, they will put samrani and they will start chanting something. This is one thing, is to comfort the one who is departing. Another thing is to ensure that somebody else doesn't usurp the body. So, many methods and many protections were created so that these things don't happen. There are many ways to see that such things don't happen, but today it is such a rare occurrence that now you started referring to it as a feat. So maybe you would like to see it happen, but most people are dying with tubes and needles stuck all over them, so I don't think that'll offer much of an opportunity because their breath is not theirs. The machines are breathing for them, so we should go and check and see whether still prana is still on or prana is gone, they're just keeping the breath on through a machine. This is something we can check. I think it's very much possible. Even after pranavayu is completely gone, they're keeping the breath going on and extending it by a few days or hours because it adds up into nice fat bills. It's good for the economy.
Adi Shankara, also known as Adi Shankaracharya, was a prominent philosopher and theologian in India credited with consolidating the doctrine of Advaita Vedanta. Here are few interesting facts about him. Advaita Vedanta proponent. Adi Shankara's Advaita Vedanta posits that ultimate reality, Brahman, is formless, infinite and the only true existence. The apparent multiplicity and diversity in the world are illusions created by Maya. The individual soul, Atman, when freed from ignorance and illusion, realizes its oneness with Brahman. Some of Shankara's most significant texts include commentaries on the Brahma Sutras, the principal Upanishads, and the Bhagavad Gita. These works are foundational texts in the Advaita Vedanta tradition, elucidating the principles of non-dualism and guiding spiritual aspirants towards self-realization and the understanding of ultimate truth. prodigious scholar and writer. Adi Shankara wrote numerous treatises known as Prakarana Granthas, which elaborate on various aspects of Advaita philosophy. Some notable works include Viveka Chudaman, Upadesa Sahasri, and Atma Bodha. His writings are known for their clarity, logical rigor, and profound insight. They continue to be studied and revered by scholars and practitioners of Vedanta. Shankara's ability to distill complex philosophical concepts into accessible texts enabled a broader audience to engage with Advaita Vedanta. 4 matthas. To preserve and spread his teachings, Adi Shankara established 4 major matthas in different parts of India. These matthas are located in Sringeri South, Dwaraka West, Puri East, and Jyotirmath Badrinath North. These matthas are Sringeri Sharada Peetham in Karnataka, dedicated to goddess Saraswati and known for its role in preserving Vedic learning and traditions. Dwaraka Sharada Peetham in Gujarat, emphasizing the teachings of the Samaveda and playing a crucial role in the spiritual and cultural life of Western India. Govardhana Mattha in Puri, Odisha, associated with the Rig Veda and a major center of pilgrimage and learning in Eastern India. And Jyotirmath in Uttarakhand, linked with Atharva Veda and a significant site for spiritual practice and teaching in northern India. Lifespan and legacy. Adi Shankara is believed to have lived a very short life, around 32 years, from 788 to 820 CE. Born in Kaladi, Kerala, Shankara displayed extraordinary intellectual and spiritual prowess from a young age. He became a monk at the age of 8 and set out to seek spiritual knowledge. Shankara travelled extensively across the India subcontinent, engaging in debates with scholars of various philosophical traditions. He sought to unify diverse sects and practices within Hinduism under the umbrella of Vedanta, thereby fostering a sense of unity and coherence in the Hindu faith. Despite his brief lifespan, his impact on Indian philosophy and spirituality has been profound and long-lasting. His followers celebrate his life and contributions during the festival of Shankara Jayanti. Conclusion. Adi Shankara's profound contributions to philosophy, theology, and spiritual practice have made him one of the most revered figures in Indian history. His teachings continue to inspire and guide seekers on the path to self-realization and the understanding of the ultimate truth. Through his writings, debates, and the establishment of monastic centers, Shankara's influence has extended far beyond his lifetime, shaping the spiritual landscape of India and the broader world. His commitment to unifying Hinduism and promoting the principles of non-dualism has left an indelible mark on the history of Indian philosophy and spirituality.